Perfect. So just to kind of introduce kind of what I'm doing. So one thing that I have kind of focused on basically my whole career is people, and just really focusing on relationships and building relationships, and building my business based on a referral business. So I myself don't take leads. I don't pay for leads anywhere. It's strictly just marketing to my sphere of influence and those around me, neighbors, family, friends, etc. So I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what got me to that point and kind of helped me get there. And I think that when I first started real estate, they teach you how to make phone calls, and you got to call everybody, tell them that you're in real estate, and market to them, tell them that you're, if they want to buy or sell, that you want to help them. And quite honestly, that never felt supernatural to me. So I would say my start to real estate was a little bit slow, because I do think those things do work, but I myself did not resonate with that. And so I kind of was a little bit rebellious and refused to do that. So it wasn't until I started reading a little bit more about relationships, the benefit of relationships and communicating and stuff like that, that kind of helped me perpetuate and push my business forward. So a couple of those books were The Happiness Advantage. So this is really just about your attitude.
You read that with kids.
Yes. So honestly, like, this is a great book to read even like in the winter time when things are crappy and the air is gross and the light is dark. But just to help you kind of change your attitude, and especially around people and even on social media. But it talks a lot about smiling and just, the benefits and the effects of just a simple smile, even while you're out in public to people and things like that. How not only does it change your demeanor, but it also helps people change theirs as well, and really has an effect on people. And so
Who's the author?
that is Sean Achor, Achor, and it's Shawn. Yeah, and somebody, you're welcome to pop or use this one too. I have a few things underlined, but yeah. So the other one, and I've talked about this one a lot, is the How to Influence or How to Win Friends and Influence People in the Digital, and this one is In the Digital Age, by Dale Carnegie. So this one is also, I really love this one. So basically very similar to the last one, but how to do things that actually influence people without using authority or forcing them to do things, but just the things that we can do to really influence our friends in a positive way. And then the last one is The 7 Levels of Communication. So this one is fantastic for real estate, because it literally is all about, like, it talks about it's actually a loan officer and a real estate agent that basically are communicating, setting up a system for their clients, and really how to treat your sphere. And if you followed this book, I don't even take this book to the level that I could. Like, there's so much good information in this. So this one I would highly recommend. So going back to kind of why I focus on my SOI. For me, I feel like there's more loyalty with my SOI. I feel like the systems that I have in place, and this sounds a little manipulative, but the systems that I have in place and the things that I do for my clients in my sphere, I don't think they'd ever feel right not using. Especially the ones that I'm consistent with, that are consistently coming to our events. They see what we've done as far as giving back to the community, of giving back to them, things that we've provided for them. And so for me, there's a sense of loyalty there. And I've seen it with many clients that consistently come back and use me for 3, 4, 5 purchases or sales. So that is a big thing for me, is the loyalty, especially in this market where, yeah, they could go to Homey and they could get half of their commission back and given to them, but to them, it's not worth it. They see the benefits beyond just money that we've provided for them. Number two, they typically refer people that are similar to themselves. And so usually we connect with people that are similar to us, and that's what kind of draws them to us and then that's what makes them want to use us, is they feel comfortable, they trust us. And then usually our personalities are very similar, or at least mesh in an okay way. Whereas I feel like other ways of getting leads, and you have less loyalty because they're probably talking to 3 or 4 different agents at the same time, however you found them, other agents are finding them as well. But also you just have no idea what their personalities are, and so it just takes a lot more time to kind of build that relationship. Whereas I feel like if you have a mutual friend, you're already going to connect in ways that you can't connect to other people. And your sphere attract the similar people as them. So that's kind of how the cycle keeps going. So number 3 is I actually enjoy them most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. So kind of some of the things that I'm going to talk about of what I do and things that you can do, it makes it a lot easier. So when you feel comfortable around somebody and conversation is easy and natural, and you know a little bit about their background, you can then take them out to coffee or swig or whatever, and it's not weird or awkward. Or you can drop something by their house and they're excited to see you, rather than like, this is awkward and weird, so it feels very natural. The transaction itself is usually a lot smoother. And I feel like a lot of that is because they've put trust in you, and you're able to communicate in a way that's, you can be a little bit more blunt and bold with them, rather than someone that you don't know. You're always a little hesitant of like, well, are they going to take this like I'm not representing them, or are they going to be a little offended by this comment? Or so I feel like the transactions are usually a lot smoother because you can usually kind of be yourself and say exactly what you mean, and they understand you and comprehend a lot better. So they're usually better qualified. And I say this in the sense that the people in your sphere are usually similar in class, or like they're not first-time home buyers necessarily, or they're not necessarily, they're usually a little bit more put together in life. And so I feel like that they're usually, they're not always, but usually. And so that's a big thing as well, is that they're usually well qualified to purchase a home, they've saved money, things like that. And then overall, I'm a huge believer in the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the effects of what we do come from 20% of the work we do. So I feel like I work a lot less by focusing on my SOI. And I'll kind of talk a little bit more about what we do in just a little bit. But I don't know if any of you know Michael Burt. He goes by Coach Burt. It was B-U-R-T. He also wrote a book, and I've not read his book, but he does kind of a coaching program that talks about building your SOI and staying in touch with past clients and stuff. And he said 98% of agents do not follow up with their clients after they close on a home. 98%. So literally, you would be in the top 2% if you just stayed in touch with your clients after closing. And it actually shocks me, because I feel like after you close, it's the easiest thing to do is stay in touch with your clients, even once a year, twice a year, is staying in touch with your clients. So, so yeah, that was crazy to hear that. Every deal you close should be worth 5.7 referrals.
Wow.
Or more transactions. So, and I would say I probably have not experienced that with all of my clients, but I have experienced that with a lot of my clients. I have a client right off the top of my head that is, they themselves have closed 3 transactions with me, and they've probably referred 4 people to me. And so there is, there's definitely benefit in staying in touch and taking care of your clients. And then he said, you can make $1 million a year with only 25 right people. So that was huge for me too. And I'll kind of talk about how and what I do as far as that. So, so now let's get to kind of what we do and the process that we go through. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, perfect. So we focus on, so the goal is to get to 200 people in your database. I feel like 200 people is easily manageable, especially if you can kind of break them down into kind of like categories of people you may want to stay in touch quarterly versus you know, twice a year, yearly, and vice versa. So so the goal is get to 200 people. I always tell like newer agents or agents that are just starting out trying to build their sphere is try to create a list of 50 people, whether that be your close friends, cousins, past clients, preferred professionals. So I'm a huge, like, my lender and I have such a great relationship that like I provide her a lot of business, she provides me a lot of business, and I'm a huge advocate for building a relationship with a lender, with title, and other professionals, home inspectors, home warranty people. Like honestly, there's so many professionals that we're involved with all the time. It's okay to ask them for referrals. If you're using the same handyman, it's okay to say, hey, I love to work with you. I would love to also be supported by you as well, and ask for referrals from them. But with that, gather as much information as possible. So you want to have email, phone number, and mailing address. So all ways that you can contact people. Birthdays. You want everybody's birthday. You don't have to get the year if people are weird about that, because that doesn't matter. We all know Randy's 35, and that's fine. Like that's totally cool.
It's not like 14, so.
How hard is it to get that color like that?
This,
At
The gray.
35.
$4 and enforced.
Oh, is that what it was?
Formula. Yeah, it's
Okay.
really easy.
Secret formula.
But see, now I can attract that sphere of tall, silver, and handsome that he's talking
Exactly. Yeah. So past closing. So if you've helped a buyer, then write down or like however you're keeping. We didn't talk about CRMs, but we will in a little bit. But you want to get their home anniversary, because that's another way you can easily send a card and say, oh my gosh, it's been a year since you purchased your home. How exciting. Here's a $25 gift certificate to go celebrate. But you can do that literally every year. It's been 10 years. Like it's just a way, an easy way to stay in touch with them.
about. Like gifts that or have your name on them somehow, a gift that would be in their home, like you guys use cutting boards and different things like that. Or
Like closing gifts.
yeah.
Yes.
something
Oh, I
that has
should have
your
brought
name
that.
on it.
I actually do a Cutco knife
Okay.
that has my,
I have my set that we talked about.
yeah.
I'll
So I
bring it
just
in a bit.
have it engraved. You have it out.
But, he has big knives. I could pencil my knives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're cool. His are like, it's got a lot of real estate on it, put a big name on it.
But yeah, so I have it's engraved. It just says your realtor for life, and it has my contact. Go ahead.
No, that was mainly what I was wondering, is that you're trying to figure out what's something that they use every
Yeah.
day, day in, day out.
Yeah, and so I do the knife because the cutting board, I feel like it looks nice, but I feel like people are usually afraid to use it. So it's like, then where do I put it? Type of a thing.
I will think of I've gone into people's homes and they have it like.
So it's
They
more of a
really-
decoration
Yeah,
type thing
and like
rather than,
several of them.
yeah.
You do it with that one.
Yeah.
So I like when I've gone like 2 years ago. So
yeah, that's
it
awesome.
depends on your people.
Yeah.
my idea of signed portrait is probably not gonna work.
Well, it depends.
Oh, your
Like-
big face, like on your face, like.
I need signed portrait,
Well,
yeah.
it depends, like.
The
how
big
much-
one,
Yeah,
Depends on the client. It
Read
depends on how many
absolutely.
clothes you have on, you know, like. they
you
make
can
it
make it
like-
you can make it a dartboard.
yeah. There we go, I could do the dartboard. In the dart on the realtor.
Oh.
Okay, so, so kind of at this point, this is kind of what sets you up for how you market to them. And so we have our clients separated into, and I keep track of my clients too, of like, hey, we've marketed these people for 2 years and we've got 0 referrals from them. Or, you know, and they're nice people. They just, you know, they just haven't referred anybody. So for me, I'm not going to waste my time going by to their house all the time. And so basically that's the people that I would send like a birthday card to, because I can literally just send it in the mail. Home anniversary, I can send it in the mail. So that's two interactions right there. And then a Christmas card during Christmas time. So there's 3 touches that you have right there for,
I'm sorry, Liz.
oh, no, you're totally fine. So this is people that you found that you're not getting a lot of extra business from. And so I'm not going to waste my time doing a lot of pop buys to them. I'm going to actually just do like a birthday card, home anniversary card, and then a Christmas card. Super easy. You're wasting a stamp, basically. And a $2 card.
Are you still paying the $2 bill?
Yeah. And so we actually, in our birthday cards, we just include a $2 bill. And it's just something different and fun, and it's,
The kids will go.
Memorable.
I've never
Yeah,
seen one of
totally.
those. Yeah.
Most of the adults say that too.
So that's what that looks like.
So,
Do you ever, after a long period of time, like, I'm just not gonna use this, I'm gonna kind of lose this personality?
You ever
Yeah,
fire
yeah.
anyone?
absolutely, yeah. And there's a few
What
of
makes
those,
that decision for you?
usually personality differences of like, I actually wouldn't even prefer to work with them type of a thing. Or or if I see that they've used somebody else or something like that, I'm not gonna waste my time type of a thing. Yep. Exactly. So our A list is essentially we are doing a pop by to them once a quarter. So it used to be we were trying to stay in touch with everybody once a month, but that got it was too much, and so we ended up not doing it because, and then I would feel guilty that I didn't do it, and then so we created a new system where we feel like once a quarter was sufficient to stay top of mind. And then if their birthdays or something fell on one of the other months, that's fine. Then we would do like 2 touches in that quarter. So, and just to give you an idea, so as far as our Popeyes, so this is kind of where I struggle, because I like to interact with them, but at the same time, like when you're trying to deliver 20 Popeyes, you can't get stuck with your clients for
Especially
super
if they
long.
like you, they're gonna want to touch
And
you.
they want to catch up, and you
Yeah.
want to catch up, and they want to show you all the new things that they did in your house, and that's super exciting, and that's good, and that's a good interaction. But at the same time, if you do that with 20 people, like it's going to take you days to get stuff delivered. So what I like to do, and so I brought a couple examples. So our first, so this is we usually do, we divide, so our once a quarter Popeyes, we do it. So we're doing a monthly. So we're doing like 15 in January, 15 in February, and 15 in March.
How many people did you say you did Popeyes? Did only like 3 or so?
We try to do about 50.
About 50 would be best.
Yes,
But even
that's
if
what
you
I try to, because I figure when I go through it, like, and a lot of it depends. So like, I'll do like 50 are usually what are in our database from previous years and that continue now. The people that closed last year, I try to market them as much as I can the year following to really get it engraved of who we are, what we do. And then I gauge that next year of what they're going to receive the next year. Does that make sense? So if they don't send me a lot of referrals, or if they aren't super interactive or coming to events, then that's where I kind of like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need to market to them specifically that much. I kind of just scale it back.
So question, so someone that actually shows up, maybe it's been a year or two, you've had good interaction with them, then you find out their dad or parents or sons or something like that ended up buying a home. You re-elevate them back into the active group.
Yep.
So you
Yeah.
move them back up and
Yep.
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I usually gauge that. So we're doing the pop buys. We also do events. And usually that's where we invite everybody to our events, regardless of their A, B, C. It depends on the event, but we usually try to have 2 events a year that we're able to invite everybody out to that event. And that's usually where that reconnection happens. And they usually come specifically to tell me that, hey, we have so-and-so that, and so it's actually kind of
And you
nice.
stick with the same events. Maybe do the pumpkin thing.
Yeah, a little, yeah, most of the
I like
time.
that one. That one, to me, that one's legit.
Oh, it's easy too.
Yeah.
The pumpkin one is just the easiest event ever and actually quite affordable as well. So our January this year, we did s'mores. So it's these, you just go to Costco and we bought a whole bunch of these. And
Yeah.
they are really good, yeah. And Curry just put together a little card that says Happy New Year, wishing you s'more happiness and love in the new year. And then I just go drop them off on the doorstep. And then I send them a little text that just says, hey, left you a little treat on your doorstep, hope all is well. And people love it. And I don't have to necessarily spend 15 minutes catching up.
So you don't even ring the doorbell.
I don't even ring the doorbell. I just leave it there. And I
On 4th
actually,
of July, I actually took a picture and sent it. So
yeah,
on
that's a
their
good
door,
idea too.
took a
Yeah,
picture and said, this is on your doorstep, you know.
Yeah.
Enjoy, have fun.
I think people are really, even if you show up at their door, they're like,
totally.
I gotta talk. and-
Totally, especially right now with the Rona going around, they're nervous, and if they have babies, like, so it actually, and it's easier on me too. For many of you may not know this, but the 18th, which is in 2 days, is National Drink Wine Day.
Oh.
So I
Oh my
went,
gosh, I forgot all about that. Ah,
so I went and got bottles of wine, just Curry tied a little ribbon on it, and dropped it by and just text people and said, hey, just didn't want you to go dry on National Drink Wine Day. Now, make sure you have clients that drink and you're not dropping this off to your clients who don't drink. So
Brother and Sister
this is
Johnson.
this is also part of knowing who your clients are, and their interests and what they're about. And then one that we've done for the last like 5 years is Lucky Charms in March. So for St. Patrick's Day, it just says we are seriously lucky to have you as our friends. Happy St. Patrick's Day. So this is a really, really easy one to do to your neighborhood too. And so we actually do, we'll do about 15, 20 to our clients. And then we're going to have our kids, and we actually took off. Everyone nowadays has Ring doorbells, and everyone nowadays has like a neighborhood Facebook page. So we're actually going to take off our names and just do your neighborhood leprechaun. And then they're going to get on Facebook and say, oh my gosh, who is this? Or they're going to text around, and somebody's going to have a Ring doorbell and say, oh, of course, it's so-and-so. So totally. We don't brand it with our, and that's the huge thing for us is like, we want it to feel like we are treating our friends. So we don't always brand everything with our team name. We put our names on it, but we don't necessarily brand it with our team name because we want them to feel like it's more
Like them as
natural. Yes, exactly. So that's what we try to do. And I would say like by separating, so you have 50 people you're trying to contact in one quarter, and by separating that into a few in January, a few in February, and a few in March, it makes it a lot more doable. So I found that if it's 10 to 15 a month, I can do it. If it's more than that, I struggle with the time and with the mental capacity of the thought of driving around all the different homes. And so how we kind of separate, like, who we're doing in January, obviously we're going to only deliver wine to people that we know drink wine, but a lot of it is area too. So maybe if we have a lot of clients in the Southern Valley, then we're going to put all of those in January and try to get all those in the same drive so that we're not doing a few down there and then a few up in Salt Lake County and a few out in Eagle Mountain. That's what, like the driving is what sucks a lot of your time. So you want to be aware of that and try to kind of group your people together so that you have them in the same areas. Okay, so
So I think last time I asked you this, you told me Craig just keeps track of this.
we're old school, yes.
You have a note, you don't have like an Excel spreadsheet of what you're keeping track of? You have a
I want-
notepad.
Because for me.
Well,
to
it's
organ-
like, it's an Excel spreadsheet printed out where we can check the box.
That can also be done with paper if you can do that.
I do keep all my receipts in a Ziploc bag, and for taxes, I literally just sit down and go through all my receipts for 2 days. I don't do anything all year long, and in 2 days, I just figure it out. Mhm. I'm super old school, and technology causes me issues, so I'm like my dad. I always confuse him about it.
My kind of guy.
Yeah. That's what I do too.
That's why we're having an in-person meeting and me not trying to figure out Zoom today.
Is it, like if you look at it, is it obvious?
the manual system, like, are the January people grouped, or is it just a alphabetical list and then you check the box? So is it all scattered in between, or? Is
No,
it-
it's kind of, yeah, it's organized as far as who kind of lives in the same area, and then we try to check them off that way, yeah.
Okay.
And then we have a separate sheet for birthdays, and they're usually organized in like month. And then for birthdays, we just at the beginning of the week, we sit down on Monday, we write all of our birthday cards for that week, basically from like Wednesday to Wednesday.
You take time to put a personal note on each
Yep,
card.
we just write just a simple happy birthday, wishing you the best type of a thing, and then like it's just very simple. It's not nothing crazy. And so that's the pop by thing. Another way and another thing that like we all scroll through social media. So one thing I always recommend to people is scrolling through social media with a purpose. And by doing this, and it's mainly on your desktop, which kind of sucks because most people aren't scrolling through Facebook on their desktop, but you can create like a Facebook group on your desktop, and then you can say my top 50 people, and then you can go through your Facebook and add those people in that group. And so then you can click on it, and then your news feed only shows up those people. And you can literally, if you spent 30 minutes just commenting, whatever, they're going to start showing up in your news feed on your phone. Because that's kind of how the algorithm works, is if you start interacting with people, then they're going to interact back with you. And then Facebook's going to say, oh, these two know each other. This is how we're going to keep them on Facebook longer and their screens in front of their face. So we're going to start putting their stuff in front of them more often. And so it helps the algorithm. It helps you be able to, when you're actually just scrolling through Facebook on your phone, you'll see more of them, and be sure to like their stuff and maybe comment and stuff like that, and they'll continue to show up in the feed.
Comments, actually commenting makes a huge difference compared to just like, it's easier for. everybody to
Commenting is
slide.
huge. Yep. Even if it's simple, just a simple comment.
And
Yeah.
interacting with their stories.
Yep.
Then if it's one-on-one message and Facebook, like, whoa, you like each other, like one-on-one. and
Totally.
Do they know you put them in group?
Yeah. No, it's not like a group, like, because if you created a group, yeah, it's not, it's mainly a group list. It's not creating a separate Facebook group and inviting them to it. It's just a filter. Yeah.
Until I'm hyper-focused on not being manipulated.
Which is funny because, I mean, you're manipulated.
We all
Whether you
are.
like it or not,
We
we're all
are.
manipulated.
You just don't
Yeah.
want to know that you're
I
being
just don't want to
manipulated.
know. I don't want to know.
Remind me
obvious.
that we're
Yeah,
not
that-
Just
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
Just use it to your advantage. You know,
So some other easy ways to just reach out to people, besides birthdays, anniversaries, is referrals. So like, if somebody sends you a referral, get a gift card in the mail like the next day and say thank you. It can be a $25 gift card. It can be a $250 gift card. I think we can go up to, is it 500 now? You guys,
I think that's what I recall.
they just raised it, and I want to say it's the 500 is now the like if you
Oh, wait,
can.
they raised it to 500?
I know they raised it, but I can't remember what it was
I
to.
know they raised, because that was like weird, because if they recently raised it,
What was it before? Because I thought it's been 250.
It's been 250 for a long
And then 250 for you.
Then maybe it's just 250. For some reason I thought they raised it even
They
above
might
that.
have.
So
I didn't.
So I personally, at the very first, I'll send like $100 gift card. And then if they close, I'll send them another like $100 card. And a lot of it depends on like the client and like how, I mean, if it's like a condo, I'm like, maybe I'll do a $50 gift card. So it just depends, but please like reward your referrals because you want more of them. So reward them. Just FYI for newer agents, you cannot advertise that you will send a gift card out for referrals. You will get fined for that.
Thank you for mentioning.
Yeah.
Is the fine less than 250?
Good question. Then
Justin, will you repeat that?
another easy way is for like National Coffee Day. You can send out $5 gift cards to your clients in the mail, or with today's technology, you can literally just Venmo people $5 and just say Happy National Coffee Day. Go treat yourself to a coffee.
And when you mention also when you get these national days, what do you look? It's a website, right? You can.
Yeah, it's this website called Google. You just type in like,
Is it really now?
Like August 10th is National S'more Day. Did you know that? August 10th is National S'more
I
Day.
did not know that.
There's
There's a-
national days on it every day. So there's always next to it.
Yeah, and honestly, like the thing is that yeah, it's all, I mean, it's capitalism in its finest of like how can we get people to spend money? But what it does is it's like National Popcorn Day. Like you could literally, we went and bought big bags of the cheddar and caramel popcorn at Costco, and we drop them by and say Happy National Popcorn Day, and they're like, what? That's crazy. Like they just think it's funny, and it's almost expected now that we show up on random crazy holidays. And just be, I mean, yeah, so just there's one time we almost did National Coke Day, but it actually was like 4 weeks ago, but it was like some weird. So just make sure you're kind of checking multiple websites to kind of see, but to be honest, nobody's going to double check and go look. So the idea is just to make that contact. Okay, so then events. So we usually try to do 2 large events per year. It's most often that we do them, we would love to do them like in the late spring and then in the fall. Most of our events though are usually in the second half of the year, mainly because we feel like it's always like so cold, and it's raining, and then all of a sudden people are out for school and they're busy. But then when they go back to school, it's a lot easier to get people. So usually like we'll have on National Waffle Day, I believe it's in August, we have Waffle Love come out to our neighborhood, and we invite our entire neighborhood out, and then we also invite our sphere out to it as well. And we pay for that. So we pay for all the waffles and everything. And we usually plan for like 250 waffles. And a lot of it just depends, you know, like the first year was a lot more successful than the second year, but a lot of that is how we marketed it. Like we took more time to remind people and stuff like that. And then we also do pumpkins in the driveway, where we just have the company drop off like 4 bins of pumpkins, they throw them in our driveway. And then in previous years we've done hot chocolate, and then we had a face painter come. Another time we just put them out on the the park just right across the street from our house, and just had it was still like 80 degrees I think that year, and so we ended up just doing like Cokes and Diet Cokes in the bins, and then just putting them in the. That's really nice because you get to touch, like you get to contact and talk to them, but there's not a lot to do. So they grab their pumpkins, they talk, they grab their Coke, and then they leave. So it's not like they have to hang out for 2 or 3 hours. And that's a really good one. And then so in January, we actually rented out, I don't know if you guys, the Ridge up in Suncrest. So it's a little restaurant that sits up on top of Suncrest. So we just basically reserved the whole restaurant, and we invited 50 of our like we tried to get most of the people who closed last year and then, or people who have referred to us last year, and invite them out and we treat them to a private dinner with an open bar and a live band. And it usually lasts, for 2 hours. And
Cost wise on that?
so we ended up paying about $3,500 for that.
That's basically a referral.
Yeah, exactly. And we usually, and this is how it always sounds expensive. It always does. But I usually get at least one referral out of every event that pays for the event plus. So that's how I look at it. Is I'm usually and start small. You know, you can always start small. The pumpkin one, we probably spend $1,000, but that's for a lot of pumpkins. I mean, if you're not doing, you don't feel like you need that many pumpkins, you could get 1 or 2 bins of pumpkins, and it would probably be $400 or $500. So the pumpkin one is really easy and inexpensive for sure. Another one that we used to do, but we feel like it kind of took away from our own magic of the holidays, the Christmas Santa event. We used to do we would team up with our lender and we'd rent our clubhouse in Traverse Mountain, and we would have donuts and hot chocolate and some crafts for the kids, and then we would decorate it, have Santa, we'd do photos with Santa. And that was actually a really good event. It just got super overwhelming on our part. And so there is a point where you have to realize like your own personal mental health and what's more important. So yes. So where we usually use brownielocks.com. That gives you a lot of the crazy holidays. Brownie locks,
Think of
like
Goldilocks.
dreadlocks, Goldilocks. Yeah. And it will give you, I mean, there's crazy holidays, there's donut day. So that's a super easy one to go to Daylight Donuts. You usually have to order them in advance and just say, I want, 10 half dozen boxes, or you want, if you have larger families, you might just get full dozen boxes. There's Pie Day that you can deliver pies, and you can go to like Village Baker or Costco or whatever and get pies. One of my favorites is Margarita Day.
Why would that be?
Yeah, I gotta stop going to church so I could do coffee day, wine.
I have
day,
plenty of people who go to church and still celebrate those.
I'm supposed to talk about us.
That's the growth part.
Yeah. And then just I would say use them to your advantage. So things that are fun and you get excited about, use those holidays. Coke. There is a National Coke Day, so you can go get the little glass bottles of Coke and drop them off. And
I don't think it's the type of Coke.
I mean, there's some ones
That's why
for
you give us the
everything.
$2 bills.
And then fundraisers are also a big thing too. So if you find, and this is, you can host the fundraiser and you can actually make it a part of an event that you're doing. People love to give, and people, when they're coming to take advantage of an event that you're doing, they also are usually willing to contribute to a fundraiser. And so I usually try to make it a little less, like, I think with fundraisers, there's a fine line of like what people are willing to contribute to. And a lot of it depends on like the spectrum that they're at. And like some people don't believe in necessarily supporting like
Go ahead.
I think there's just a lot of political, so just be careful of what you're doing and like how, but at the same time, like if it's genuine, don't really stress too much about it.
Like a Trump fundraiser, you wouldn't probably
Yeah,
recommend
don't
that.
put flags up on your truck because then I won't like you. Just kidding.
Not even a pirate flag.
Yes, there is a limit with me. And then let's see. Okay, so smaller events. So we usually do the large events, but then you can break it up into like smaller events too. So maybe you're inviting 10 people over to your house and you're going to do brunch with them at your house, and you could do crepes and mimosas. We've done that a couple times at our house with more of kind of like our neighborhood group, or maybe you have a group of clients that are relatives that you feel comfortable with them, but having more of them would make it more enjoyable or less threatening. And so you could do smaller events, or even taking people out to lunch or dinner or whatever. But if you incorporate a smaller group, that's a really easy thing to do. And then a mini photo session. So we've done this a couple times, and we realized by doing it every year, people don't necessarily want photos every single year. So we're separating that and just kind of doing it every couple of years. But there's like a photo studio up in Cottonwood Heights where they have different backgrounds and things, and you can rent it out, and then you can literally just you hire a photographer, and then they'll email them for professional photos, and they can come and they literally get a family photo behind like two backgrounds, and they can pick their favorite one, and do that. And it's seriously, each family is like has a 15-minute appointment, so it's really quick and it's beneficial to them. They have those photos for a long time. And then let me see what is. So the other thing too is, on your Facebook things, and sometimes, most of the time, I hate GoFundMes, but every now and again I do see a GoFundMe that is beneficial, and it's usually shared by a friend that's trying to help out someone that is close to them. It always makes a difference when they see that you are willing to give to a cause that they support. My lender is huge in the refugee program. I've probably given her over $10,000 to help her run this program with the refugees. She's probably sent me over $100,000 in business. So it over the last 8 years. So, so just keep that in mind, that like the more you give, the more comes back to you as well. And that influences people to want to refer other people to you, or you to you personally as well. So I do think giving is a huge part, and a huge part of what we should be doing in general. The more we're giving, the more we're contributing, the more we're serving, ultimately is the more that we are going to get back in return. And that's really about it. There's more I could go on, but I would say that's probably all. The one thing that I would just want to touch base on is CRMs. So find a system that's easy for you. So I've tried multiple CRMs, and quite honestly, it just hasn't quite clicked for me. There hasn't been one that does everything that I imagine. And it's probably me just wishing that I had something that worked better. The Remax Bouge was probably the closest, but was never perfect because it was always needing work and never worked how it was supposed to. But if it had worked like it was supposed to, it would have been great. So we're old school. We print out our sheets. We have paper and pen. We check them off, and that's kind of what we follow. We also still write checks to pay our bills. So
Are you kidding?
A check, what's that?
How old are you? You're only like,
I think I have a
38 or
checkbook
something,
in my
right? Like-
purse, but I didn't hear it.
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
but I-
We've had clients come in and go, we need an earnest money check, and they go, how do you do that? Literally 2 or 3 times in the last year.
Yeah, I teach, I'll ask people, are you 40? Are you 40?
Are you-
Okay. do you
Here's
know
the
what a
big
check is?
question for you. This is gonna really be very telling. Are your checks duplicate?
the one that works the best for this type of.
I stopped that for a second. So can you say, who is it again?
Oh, Buffini, Brian Buffini.
Oh, Brian Buffini. Okay.
They probably have the best one that
We
I've.
have that for a little while.
We did have that. Yeah.
We were like
No, I
promoting
know.
that.
Because it entails having to actually import everything, and like that's what really causes me the most anxiety and stress is like organizing it. But it was probably set up probably the best that I'm aware of at this point. The other thing is if you're on a team, most of you have a CRM that would probably do and manage a lot of this, and you can actually set up tasks and stuff like that. Pro Agent, if you have a Pro Agent website, I believe you can put all of the like home anniversaries, birthdays and stuff in it. I'm just not sure it actually comes up on a calendar. And that's my biggest pet peeve is I want to be able to pull up a calendar to see like who's coming up next.
We'll find that out.
Yeah, and then Excel spreadsheet
What do you
is,
guys need?
A lot of that can be done on your phone, too.
yeah. Totally. If you have them on contacts, you can put them like just in your phone or just save it on your contacts and special dates.
Okay, let's get a formal ending.
Yep.
Just thank you so much. Awesome, awesome. I knew it would be, but I'm so always so surprised how really good it is.
I learned a lot of what I know from you.
Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
Say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody.